Hey, Brixel! I woke up this morning and thought, you know what? I really want to get cancelled by the Guild Wars 2 community. So get those angry comments and dislikes loaded, we're headed into ratio territory, because this week, I'm going to talk about why Guild Wars 2 should have a monthly subscription. Okay, just hear me out. I know there are some clear downsides to a monthly sub, and I seriously doubt ANET are actually going to introduce a new business model, so this video is more of an academic thought exercise. But I really do think a monthly sub would have some massive benefits for Guild Wars 2 players. Real quick, be sure to hit the like button before I make you angry. The like button's just an innocent bystander in all this, and it wouldn't be fair if it didn't get any love because of my bullshit opinions. Ding the thing if you haven't already. We release new MMO content every dang week, as well as regular streams over on twitch.tv/brixelgaming. Big love to our patrons, and with that, let the vitriol flow. So, there's a pretty well-known business anecdote, more a fable really. The story is that a Parisian perfumer released a brilliant new scent, far superior to the competition. But the superior fragrance was also sold at a fraction of the established market value. Assumptions were that the superior product, sold at a massive discount, would dominate the market. But it didn't. In fact, the perfume did so terribly that it had to be pulled from shelves. After rethinking their approach, the perfumer re-released the fragrance once again, only for it to go gangbusters. Same smell, same name, same bottle, only difference: it was significantly more expensive. So, this is a story, true or not, that highlights humanity's innate desire to be a part of something prestigious. Things that are rare, more expensive, or simply hard to get are generally more desirable. The same goes for video games. With competition like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2 has always stood out as the free-to-play / pay-to-win outlier in the market. And to be honest, this position has massively hurt the game's image. For example, think back to Star Wars The Old Republic going free-to-play. Critics and players, most of which had already given the game a thorough dunking on, banded together for a couple more half-court swooshes, all because BioWare went and changed their monetization model. The general assumption was that only a failing MMO would go free-to-play. What I'm getting at is that clearly public perception ties monthly subscriptions to prestige, especially within the MMO space. And with Guild Wars 2 coming to Steam, where it may potentially find an entirely new audience, being classed as free-to-play might not necessarily be the best look. Sitting alongside its subscription-based contemporaries might be a safer bet, especially when it comes to attracting new players. Better that than risk being lumped in with the likes of SWTOR. But okay, I hear the detractors in the comments already. But Brixel, maybe a monthly sub could help attract new players, but will it keep new players? Alright, fair point. So let's go into it. First and foremost, going off the models of other popular MMOs, a subscription could be easily offset by a more generous free trial. I personally would extend Guild Wars 2's free trial all the way up to the end of Heart of Thorns. This would include the personal story, as well as the currently unfinished Season 1 of The Living World, plus Season 2, which currently has to be purchased using real money or gems via the Black Lion shop. Look, the fact of the matter is that the game's narrative only really starts stretching its legs in Season 2, and a player only gets an idea of the game's broader gameplay loops in Heart of Thorns. So, in my opinion, for a free trial to accurately represent the game, it should include this content at the very least. More to the point, including all of the above would bring Guild Wars 2 more in line with the free trial for the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which includes the entirety of A Realm Reborn and the award-winning Heavensward expansion up to level 60 with no restrictions in playtime. Sorry, don't know where that came from. The only real restriction I would put on the free trial would be removing daily login rewards. Besides that, all content up to and including Heart of Thorns would be fair game. As far as a monthly sub is concerned, I would add everything up to the end of the Icebrood saga to the paid content, scrapping the purchase model of the Living World entirely. Only the most recent system-changing expansions would be left out, with End of Dragons being an additional purchase on top of the monthly sub. Now, depending on where you are in the world, the average MMORPG sub is gonna put you back around $15 a month, so this theoretical Guild Wars 2 sub would have to stay within the $7 to $15 a month range, though I'd add in a monthly stipend of Black Lion Store gems to sweeten the pot, Elder Scrolls Online style. But yeah, I also hear you, the player that's dumped hundreds or even thousands of hours into the game. How would all of this benefit you? Well, in a few ways. This new model would allow ANET to shift from the current primary source of monetization, the cash shop and box purchases, to a subscription model, with a minor focus on cosmetics. It's a model that not only would get rid of shit like loot boxes, but it would also result in a far more stable and content-rich release cycle. It would also have the added benefit of making devs more accountable to players, meaning a far higher potential for the content we ask for to actually be added to the game. You know, like revamped World vs. World and dungeons. This monthly sub model would also free up devs to focus on creating more content for long-time players, rather than constantly fighting to appeal to the newer players. The built-in Steam user base plus Guild Wars' new prestige allure would do all the work of attracting the noobs. Not to mention, the monthly sub would also mean content and items being added directly to the game, rather than items being drip-fed to players via the Black Lion store. And stick with me here, more cool items in the game would mean more things to grind for, fight for, or look for, which in turn would mean players spending more time in-game, which in turn would mean more renewed subscriptions. Brilliant. Overall, I believe a sub-model for Guild Wars 2 would lead to more content for players, more accountability for devs, less cash shop items and bullshit loot boxes, a far better new player experience, and hopefully a pay raise for those who pour their hearts and souls into creating this game. And yeah, I know, there are obvious downsides to a monthly sub model. The most obvious being that it would cost the average player a lot more in the long run, and could result in the blossoming of a toxic you don't pay my sub mentality. So yeah, it's not a perfect system, but then again, I also don't claim to be a business strategist. So there are probably plenty of aspects of this model that could be tweaked, expanded, or scrapped altogether. I'm also well aware that a lot of people, with good reason, would hate it if Guild Wars 2 got a monthly sub. But honestly, I'm not one of those people. I would welcome a change this big, and frankly, I think Guild Wars 2 would be better for it. So what do you think of the idea of subs in Guild Wars 2? Love it? Hate it? Why? Why not? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below and we can talk about it. My subscriptions are largely paid for by the incredibly generous people over on Patreon, as well as those of you who donate or become a member here on YouTube. Thanks to everyone that watches, and a special shout out to our patrons and Guardian tier patrons, Anthony Hodson, Liam Pullis, and Reynard. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Brixel, and y'all know this is just my opinion, right?